Rejection feels like a punch you didn't see coming. It arrives suddenly, without warning, and knocks the wind out of you. The job you thought you were perfect for goes to someone else. The idea you pitched is brushed aside. The person you cared about says they don't feel the same. Even the smallest rejection, a message left unanswered, a casual dismissal, has the power to trigger something deep in us. It's not just disappointment, it's a primal wound. And yet if you look closely, rejection carries within it a kind of hidden energy. The sting, the frustration, the doubt, those very emotions can be reshaped into the raw material for resilience. That's why I call it rocket fuel. Because rejection, when understood and redirected, doesn't hold you back. It launches you forward. To understand how rejection can fuel growth, you first have to know why it hurts so much. It's not because you're weak or oversensitive. It's because your brain is wired to treat rejection as danger. Thousands of years ago, survival depended on belonging. Being cast out of the group wasn't just emotionally painful, it meant real risk of death. That wiring hasn't gone away. When someone says no to us, the brain lights up in the same pain centers that respond to physical harm. It's as if the word no cuts just as deeply as a wound to the body. That's why rejection lingers, why it echoes in our thoughts long after the moment has passed. But here's the shift. Pain doesn't have to mean paralysis. Just because rejection hurts doesn't mean it has to hold you. Pain is energy. Energy can be directed. Think of fire. It can burn down a house, or it can power an engine. The same heat, the same intensity, different outcome. Rejection is emotional fire. If you let it consume you, it leaves ashes. If you harness it, it propels you. Consider some of the most iconic figures in history. J.K. Rowling was rejected by a dozen publishers before one finally said yes to Harry Potter. Imagine if she had taken the first rejection as the final word. We would never have known that world of magic. Walt Disney was told he lacked imagination. Oprah was fired from her first reporting job. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. Steven Spielberg was rejected from film school multiple times. Each of these names is synonymous with success, yet each began their story with rejection. What separates them from those who stay stuck isn't that they never faced rejection, it's that they turned rejection into data, into training, into drive. Rejection is never the end of the story. It's a comma, not a period. But our minds often treat it as the final sentence. That's where we go wrong. A rejection is feedback, it's a signal. It tells you something about timing, about preparation, about fit. Maybe it wasn't your door, maybe it wasn't your season. Maybe the skill needed wasn't sharp enough yet. Whatever the reason, rejection carries information. And when you shift from why me to what's next, you stop seeing rejection as a verdict and start seeing it as guidance. Let's imagine you apply for a job and get turned down. Scarcity mindset says, I failed, I'm not good enough, I'll never succeed. Growth mindset says, something about this wasn't aligned. What can I learn? Do I need to sharpen my resume, build a new skill, target a better fit? The rejection becomes data. That data becomes direction. That direction leads to opportunity. The cycle isn't failure, it's feedback. There's a psychological principle that explains this. It's called reframing. Reframing is the ability to take the same event and interpret it differently. The rejection is the same. The email, the conversation, the closed door, all unchanged. But the frame around it alters its meaning. One frame says rejection is an ending. Another frame says rejection is redirection. The second frame is the rocket fuel. Let's go deeper with metaphors. Imagine a rocket trying to launch. What makes it rise isn't the absence of resistance, it's the pressure pushing against the Earth's pull. That resistance is the very thing that allows liftoff. Rejection is like gravity. It feels heavy, it holds you down, it resists your rise. But the harder the resistance, the greater the force you build to overcome it. Each rejection strengthens your thrust. Each no is weight training for your persistence muscle. And when the breakthrough comes, you launch not in spite of rejection, but because of it. Think about weightlifting. Muscles don't grow by avoiding strain. They grow by enduring resistance, by tearing slightly under pressure, then healing stronger. Rejection is emotional resistance training. Each no is a rep, each setback is a set. And over time, your resilience muscles grow. Where others collapse under rejection, you keep lifting. And eventually, you become unshakable. But let's ground this in everyday life. It's not just celebrities and legends who face rejection. It's all of us. It's the student turned down by their first choice school. It's the startup founder whose pitch doesn't land. It's the artist whose work gets ignored. It's the person who risks vulnerability in a relationship and hears no in return. Rejection visits everyone, not just once, but repeatedly. And yet in each case, the question remains the same. Will you treat rejection as a stop sign or as a detour sign? Here's a practical way to start reframing rejection in your own life. Build a rejection ritual. The ritual has 3 steps. First, allow yourself to feel it. Don't pretend it doesn't sting. Acknowledge the hurt. Second, write down 3 lessons or insights from the experience. Maybe it was about preparation, timing, or the audience. Third, commit to 1 action you'll take with that insight. This process takes rejection out of the emotional swirl and puts it into a structured loop. Feel, learn, act. Instead of spiraling, you're moving. Instead of ending, you're beginning again. Some people take this further with a rejection log. They actually track their rejections. Sales professionals sometimes aim for a number of no's each week because they know each no brings them statistically closer to a yes. If you're rejected 20 times but land 1 yes, that changes everything. Was it really failure? Or was it necessary progress? A rejection log reframes no's as milestones. Each entry isn't defeat, it's a step closer to breakthrough. The fear of rejection shrinks when you face it often. Exposure is the cure. If you only risk occasionally, each no feels catastrophic. But if you seek rejection daily, it loses its sting. It becomes normal. You begin to see rejection not as personal, but as part of the process. Some entrepreneurs even gamify this. They reward themselves for each no, knowing they're building tolerance. You can do the same. Treat rejection as reps in the gym. Accumulate them like training badges. Soon, you'll notice they hurt less, and instead of fear, you'll feel anticipation. Here comes another rep. Here comes another chance to grow. This is where perspective becomes everything. What story are you telling yourself about rejection? If the story is "I'm not worthy," you'll shrink. If the story is "I'm learning, I'm training, I'm redirecting," you'll rise. The story shapes the outcome. Rejection doesn't define your worth. It defines your path. Worth is unshakable. Direction shifts. The no you hear today may be the yes that prepares you for tomorrow. Take Thomas Edison. He didn't see his thousands of failed attempts at creating the light bulb as rejection. He saw them as data. I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. Each no was 1 step closer to yes. That mindset is rocket fuel. Or consider Colonel Sanders, rejected over 1,000 times before anyone bought into his chicken recipe. Each rejection wasn't a verdict. It was a statistic. The yes was coming. It was just buried in the numbers. Now imagine your own life as a rocket in construction. Each rejection is another bolt, another calibration, another test. Without them, the rocket isn't safe to launch. But with each rejection, you learn, you adjust, you strengthen. And when it's time to ignite, you're not just ready, you're unstoppable. So the next time you hear no, pause, breathe, feel the sting, then write it down. Ask, what is this teaching me? How is this redirecting me? How can I use this as fuel? Do this often enough, and you'll stop fearing rejection. You'll start seeking it. Because you'll know that every no isn't a dead end. It's another gallon of rocket fuel, waiting to be burned on your way to the stars.